All right, so guys, welcome to the Xtreme BPM. We do this Tuesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. East African time. That's when we get to talk to the people that make the music. That is the music you listen to between 1 and 2 p.m. All right, 1 and 2 p.m. East African time. We get to premiere new music, and Tuesdays and Fridays we talk to people that make the music. Then you can hang out with me on Saturday night, guys, for 3 hours of me. We get to mix and do all that for 3 hours straight. So on the show today, I'm talking to. They have an interesting name, the Justin Kelly Experiment, right?
Yeah.
The Justin Kelly Experiment. So why don't you introduce yourself, guys, and then tell me how you came about with this name, the Justin Kelly Experiment?
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? It's I made some crazy life changes a few years back. I had a wild experiment in the Pacific Ocean in Costa Rica that it took my friend by the riptide, and I ended up going out after him in the ocean, and we were this close to getting pulled out away into the ocean, and we were able to be there to save each other in the end, and that was a turning point for me in my life as an individual. And I came back, and I was kind of going down a path more of materialism and digging into that capitalistic world a lot more. And my guitar was my outlet when I came home at the end of the day. And I never sang songs. So I came back, and I made a lot of promises to myself, and I took off with a backpack and a guitar. I called off my wedding at the time. I quit my career in the corporate world and sold my house, and a one-way ticket across to Iceland and then to Europe. And I ended up in 13, 14 plus countries in 100 years time. And we ended up in this different world entirely than what I had kind of grown up with and thought I was going to be living in. I really just felt that, life was becoming this wild experiment in a whole new direction, and trusting my heart and my soul. And Chris and I were first there when we were writing our first songs and trying to record something on the guitar, and we were offbeat and everything else. And we figured, if we're gonna make music and express ourselves as musicians and artists, we got to have our own studio. And we built our own home studio with our bare hands and got the wood and the insulation, everything we needed to, get all the pieces put together as efficiently or as resourcefully as we could, because we had something to say. We met so many amazing people along the way, and traded music for beds and hostels and
everywhere all over the world. We played.
It was we didn't think about any of the after effects of getting streams on your music or anything else. I think that's kind of a funny world on its own, and it's just, I think to us it's so much more important to have conversations about music, about people, about life, the adventures that go into these stories. And as an artist, you got to let your soul out a little bit, and to let people into who you are as a person, in order to create a connection and be vulnerable enough to connect on different levels with different people, because that's where we're able to connect, no matter which language we speak.
Well, that's where the experiment comes in, right? Like every person you meet, you're talking to someone, and it's always an experiment of that connection. You know what I'm saying? So when we started making up these songs, we didn't have a name in hand. We weren't like, you know what I mean? Oh, this was happening. But every step we took, it was like a new experiment. Like, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? So
So now let me ask you too. Did you also sell off your house, call off your wedding, and then?
No. But it was definitely it was my push to be like, man, we need our own recording space. Like people need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? People need to hear this message. People need to hear that they have to push for what they love and what they believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
no, but he's marrying my sister.
I am marrying his sister though, so I can't call it off. You know what I mean?
So you have to be careful. Don't quit your job. Don't sell your house. Okay. Do not sell the studio.
Yeah, we don't sell the studio. No, it comes with us. It comes with us.
So how do you guys get to meet? How did you get to meet each other?
Yeah, so I started dating his sister. I'm actually a dancer first. Before I started making music, I was a professional dancer. Well, I still am a professional dancer. And me and his sister met at a show that we were doing, like a big charity fundraiser. And we weren't even dancing with like, we were just met. And then we started dancing together. And then I met him shortly after. And that was right after you know, he had almost drowned and decided to flip his life around, right? And so it was like right after, and he was like, you know, I want to make some music, and I was like, well, I started making some music, like let's write some songs down, let's write some stuff down, and see, because this message has to be heard, right? So from then on, she was always jealous of our relationship. You know what I mean? That's what's up, you know?
Yeah, so she should be. So she should be worried. You might call off the wedding.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah. So, yeah. So interesting. So the Justin Kelly experiment is what these are the guys we're having on the show today. And so talk to me about your influences. You know, growing up, you're a dancer. I want to listen to more of your influences on the other end. Growing up, what music were you listening to, and that kind of influenced the music you're making right now?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we come from two different places entirely, I think, as far as music goes, and there's some meeting in the middle. I listened to a lot of old classic rock and blues and Janis Joplin and Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix. And when I was 15, I bought an electric guitar off a friend of mine I played hockey with, and that was that was a whole new path of making a bunch of loud noise in my parents' house, and they let me be myself at the end of the day, and that turned into just playing guitar, and I was learning like AC/DC riffs and stuff like that too. But at the end of the day, to me, the vocalist always spoke to me, and listening to bands like The Doors and Pink Floyd and the music that they make, it always really blew me away. But then, you know, there's Etta James and Louis Armstrong, and there's so many amazing musical souls across the globe, and
the talent.
Bob Marley is one.
Oh yeah, that's what we connected on almost right away. Was Bob Marley, and like I've been listening to him growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like with no real big influence on anyone in my family listening to Bob Marley. That was just like the music spoke for itself. You know what I mean? And then when we met, that was like a big thing. He introduced me to a lot more classic rock, and you know, I have a giant record collection. There's a lot of Nat King Cole. You know what I'm saying? Lots of vinyl, right? Like that's how I got into DJing through vinyl. So it's like, you know, for me it was Mobb Deep. It was like, you know, a lot of like just growing up that style, right? Like you had Mortal Techniques, and then you had A Tribe Called Quest is like one of my ultimate, you know what I mean? So when it comes down to making music, those guys really influenced what went out, you know, Wu-Tang, all that too, but more on the conscious side of it, right? So
I like the fact that you added the Moto Technique in there.
Yeah, that was a big part of who I listened to. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, he doesn't get enough props because you know he doesn't appear a lot on the mainstream stages and all that. But you know, the people that know who he is, they know who he is.
Big time. Yeah, a lot of people do.
Well, even you look at a guy like Lee Scratch Perry and the effect that he had on a whole range of music, a whole range of where a new whole direction of dubstep went into the world, and bringing this reggae vibe. And I mean, it's affected so many different genres of music across the world. And that's the amazing thing we find about travel, because you end up in different places and different doors here and there, and parks, and you meet people from all over the world,
and everyone's got a different perspective on what music they listen to. You know what I'm saying? So we've learned so much about
they touch your life at the end of the day, right? And a lot of people have taught us lessons about different styles of singing from different parts of the world and different cultures, and different people have played the guitar that we travel with. And again, I think a couple hundred people have played the guitar. And there's a wicked spot in Slovenia, in Ljubljana. It's the capital, and it's a really eclectic little part of a neighborhood. And there's modern art, and there's people living and doing their own thing, and some of the houses in that area. And there's other people kind of going off back to work with a briefcase, but everybody kind of gathered in a circle if you brought out the guitar. And you'd be surprised how many people actually play music in the world, and they have something to give. And if we're there to receive and to listen, it's amazing what can be shared and what you can learn along the journey.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. You know, when you move around the world, that's when you get to experience how much, you know, that's one of the advantages, because when you come from traveling to all these countries, because your influences in music are very diverse. You're talking about Louis Armstrong, you're talking about Lee Scratch Perry. Lee Scratch Perry, he's talking about a tribe called Quest, Motor Technique, which is interesting. Sidebar, Lee Scratch Perry is still living life. I mean, after doing all this, do you ever watch his gram and you see what he's doing?
I gotta see. Now I know what we're doing next.
Like he has done everything, influenced a lot of people, and he's still living life at that age.
That's amazing.
Yes. So I was getting to the point of, when you move to different places, do you realize the advantage that you get as far as the experiences go, and then when you go back to studio and you're creating, do you see what that brings to the craft?
Oh yeah, like we noticed when we got back from Europe, it was like a flow. I think we recorded 30 tracks within a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like full tracks were in there. Like the inspiration is through the roof, and a lot of what we do comes live off the floor. So even the track that you heard that we played today, A Traveler's Story,
yes,
right, that one there, we built the beat from scratch together off of the travel that we each had. Like myself and Kilo had gone to China at separate times, right, and experienced like living there for months on end, right? And it's like that's completely different. You get to travel. We traveled so many places in Europe and Asia. Like you get to Vietnam, you get to the United Arab Emirates, and like these are places that we've been, and that sort of encompassed everything that we all the inspiration that we were able to take from it that night. Like there's no writing. We went into the studio, you produce the beat right there, and then you start bringing the voice, and it's like, oh, that right there needs to stay. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that process becomes so much more rich with culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you just let the feelings flow, and that's how we first started playing music. It was just I wasn't doing cover songs. That's not something we do. We're always playing originals. It's only originals that we perform at every show that we've ever done. And there's something special about that, and we always have certain songs that we sing that we've written since the beginning, but then we're just there sharing parts of the day, new experiences, talking about different places that we've been, and it really comes out honestly, and you can listen back and actually appreciate the fact that you're being honest with yourself, and you've been listening to what's going on around you, and it's not for any vanity that we do what we do. It's out of passion and care for humanity and for us and the family that we have around us. And we treat every single person that we meet with love and care and as family, because everybody eats, everybody drinks, everybody likes to talk and share stories, and what you learn from others. And it's funny, sometimes a stranger will tell you their deepest, darkest secrets or their most amazing stories that they haven't shared with anybody else. And they're just being straight and raw with you. And there's something so liberating about that feeling that when you play music for someone who's shared that with you, your guards are down completely. So you can shake and play and ooze with energy and vibrations for these people because they're giving it back.
Yeah.
And it's not how many people you have, but the caliber of energy and the engagement that you have with the people around you.
Yeah, that's another interesting part. So now, when you come to making to the Justin Kelly experiment, right? For someone listening in right now, we just played we premiered one of the songs featuring Kilo P, right?
Yeah.
And we played a traveler's story. That's what we played today. So for someone listening in right now, when you go in to make music, because the traveler's story is more of what we've just been talking about, how you've gone to different countries and had different experiences. So when someone is getting introduced to the Justin Kelly experiment, what are they coming to get?
I think what they're getting is unpredictable on the best of days, but it's going to be full of passion and energy and honesty. Something musically is always going to be there, is our guitar and those melodies. But for something like A Traveler's Story, for instance, when we vibe in studio with Kilo, it's a completely different
vibe.
Process and vibe that comes out, and we feed off each other. And Kilo comes from a hip hop background, and he's doing more of the hip hop, rap, R&B style. But once we merge together, you get this blend of genres, and you just have to go with your gut. And we play a lot of different styles of music, from an indie rock vibe to a little bit of blues and soul
to some indie hip hop, to all of it. And the thing is, the one thing you'll never miss from our music is that story, is that passion. If you look at every song on our Spotify list, like there's a story behind it. Like one of them, like Live from 2060, we recorded that, like it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're at a hostel in Madrid, Spain. You know what I'm saying? We had already done our show. We were, you know, out with people. They came back. They're like, look, we got a space for you guys to use if you want to record. We grabbed all the cushions from the chairs because it was super boomy. So we put them around. We got our acoustics, you know what I'm saying? Dialed in. And then there was another amazing artist, Aubrey, right? Audrey, who just came. He was traveling in for a night or something, came through. And she's like, yeah, I'll sing with you guys. Yeah. And then that came to be like, and every single one of our songs on Spotify and what we've recorded and haven't released yet has a story like that, where that connection was unmatched by any other moment. Like it can never be replicated. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of genuinity that comes from our music, and that's something that will never be missed for sure.
And you know, a lot of things that I would like more to see is like that experience where artists come and make music because of respect of each other, you know, and appreciating each other's talent. And they're like, you know what, you know, it's just us as artists. Let's go in studio and make a song. It's not about, you know, the teams from this side and this side coming together, seeing what would be good for the song, and then let's see what would the sound be like, and then what can we do here.
It's a lot of that process. Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
I feel you.
No, it's true, because I think for most of our music, most of what we've done and released has been off the cuff. Yeah, it's not like there's some things written sometimes, like ideas or hooks maybe, or stuff like that.
Concepts, even just stories of meeting people that you don't want to forget, right? Like
I used to write in this notepad on the train going from one part of Europe to another on a bus or something like that. And then there's stories that people told me. There's things that we share. There's inspiration of, you know, of a car zooming by a bus, and, you know, little things that I just said, I might as well write it right now because I'm going to forget it. It's just that moment doesn't come back again. Those moments are always going to be compounding one over the other. And if you focus on positivity and good moments, you're going to build a solid foundation as a human being to connect with others. And when I first we went traveling, we spoke, like, I mean, I spoke English and French. I grew up speaking English and French here at home and in school. Then I learned some Spanish, going to some, you know, spending some time in Spain, learned a bit of Italian and Portuguese, and met the love of my life in Barcelona, crossed paths for one day, and we just got married last minute on the weekend on Saturday. So and under a day's notice. And
you didn't call it off.
Not this one. This one was right. This one was real, man. This one was right.
This one was good.
Well, and then, you know what? We have a lot more love songs over the last 3 years. It's everything inspires in its own way, and you know, being able to learn Portuguese also, as my wife's Brazilian. And talking with her family, you know, you really you need to learn these languages, and it's just taking the efforts. And
at this point, even like we, like both of us have just been starting to learn. He's doing killer at it. He's speaking Portuguese at home every day. You know what I'm saying? But from when we started Italian. Yeah, we started three years really making music, right? And now we've got tracks in 3 different languages, you know, and climbing. So it's like that type of thing is really only inspired by the travel.
Yeah, which is amazing. You know, I like to get that. I like to, you know, that's why you see, even same thing with how we get music on the show. I don't need the politics and things to get into the world of the music. When I listen to something that sounds good, I'm getting it on the show. If the artists want to share the story, I'm getting them on the show. There is no hurdles of getting into the point. What does this do for me? What does this do for this? What does this? I just that's why this I like doing this show, and if anyone can tell you about this, because I do other shows too. I have a morning show that I do, and then I have a morning show that I do on another station, but they'll tell you that I just come and do it. And I do it because I like talking to the people and we talk about things I care about. The music, not so much because they play the same songs every time. And then, and then yeah. So, and then when I get to this side, they'll tell you I will do this show at 3 a.m. We will set up an appointment at 3 a.m. and I'll wake up and do it. And at 4:30, I go to the morning show and I wake up, get dressed, and go back and do it. You can never
motivation.
Yeah, you can never make me do that for the morning show ever. So,
well, we appreciate.
We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. So no, I just like me. It's more about the music, and I like that's one thing I like, and that's why I was interested even in getting to know about your experience and the music and the story, and that's why we premiered the Traveler's story earlier on, coming in from the Justin Kelly experiment. Sorry, they are giving us an experience right now. So. So what are you working on, guys, for this year? First of all, as traveling musicians that that are doing live gigs, first of all, you've been affected by the pandemic too, right? And you can't do much as you would have wanted to do, since you already like traveling and performing live. In this period where we have been, dealing with this pandemic, what has changed for you guys as far as the music goes? Did you have a different approach to music? What changed for you guys as artists, as musicians?
Yeah, I think everyone's vibe had to change up and switch up this year to really make it worthwhile for them to keep working on music. Without live shows, it was, we started doing a couple Instagram lives and Facebook lives and stuff like that, get out to as many people as you can, right? But I think
it's just not the same, right?
No,
so you have to focus your energy in an area where it benefits the direction that you're going as artists and as a group of people that are living together and sharing each other's passions and sharing each other's ideas. It's it goes further than that. It goes to the music, and we like to actually live what we preach, so to speak, and try to grow our own vegetables and make efforts into our own lives to look into holistically taking care of ourselves and take time to think and go for walks in the woods. And we bought a place out in nature after traveling, after being in the city for so long, growing up there. We're now out in, what people would consider the middle of the woods in a lot of ways, and have a lot more peace and privacy as far as the thoughts go, as far as humanity and thinking about people, and still thinking about all the amazing things that exist around us. Sometimes we're just not focusing on them, right? If those were the headlines and we're focusing on all the amazing things happening every day, maybe we'd all be more positive on a general basis. And I think it's up to us as individuals to rise above what's happening and still find a way to get your message across, right? Yeah. And that goes into studio, because if
big time, we've recorded a lot this year. We've recorded a lot this year. You know what I'm saying?
It's been a really busy year, and you see the evolution of yourself as a person, and we really take ourselves seriously.
Even just picking up new instruments. He didn't play the keyboard as much as he does now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't play drums and bass, and now I'm getting into that, right? So it's it's amazing what you can accomplish when you put energy towards something for a couple months. You know what I mean? So now we're at the point where we're, a lot of what we did before was acoustic, and we had beats that we had made ourselves and drawn in. But now we're incorporating more full aspects to the music, more drums, more bass, more electric,
a lot more instruments.
You know what I'm saying? Just more instruments coming through, because that live can't be replicated the same way in the box, right? You got to have the instrument there live with you, and so that really has.
And working with other musicians too.
We worked with so many musicians,
and that's the thing with the experiment, so to speak, is we've worked with all kinds of musicians, and a lot of the songs that we've sang or they haven't even been recorded. You know what I mean? They were played on the side of a rock in a park with a bunch of friends on a picnic all day, and we're all just jamming together. Someone's got a bongo or a little djembe or something, you know what I mean? And there's a couple guitars, and it's amazing what escalates when you put good energy together in the same room. And for us, we just started getting more disciplined at recording, going in with an intention to get something done, and we're usually pretty good once we put our heads down to something. We we'll often go A to Z on a song,
Yeah.
in a day, right? Or whether it's like during the day or overnight. We do a lot of work at night because I think you've had the whole day to experience your thoughts, what's going on around you, so
A lot of recording gets done.
you can have a bit more to give and digest, right?
We also experimented a lot more this year with recording in nature, which was something that we didn't necessarily do too much before. So we actually got out into the woods, right? And you're like recording, you got sounds of the birds, you got like the dog around you barking, you got like, you know, we're not too far from a road. So you have like every so often you have a car zoom. We did a song that we were recording and it's coming out soon. It's called On the Loose. And there's actually a siren from a cop car in the background that we didn't plan, you know what I'm saying? Like that just went right by and you catch a faint sound in the microphone and it's like that just, you know, something like that. Yeah, it's like those little things have really escalated the music within the year. So a lot of people focus on what they couldn't do, but we choose and love to focus on the things that we actually learned and got done and have in our repertoire now, you know?
Yeah, that's the amazing part. So as far as this year goes, you know, you have a lot of music coming out. What is the plan now this year? Are you putting like a project together, or are you giving people a little bit of singles here and there, like within a month, within whatever duration of time you have set?
Yeah.
I think you come up with like a different ideology when you've done it for a few years. You start to see what works, what doesn't work, and I think releasing a few singles and getting people on board. Unfortunately, I think the albums are coming back. There's a possibility to print on vinyl, and to get that audience back a little bit. It's obviously a project that you jump into as an investment as artists, and that's what some musicians forget is you got to put on your business hat too, because you put a lot of energy into all this, and you want to make it worthwhile for yourself. And we were just kind of going off the seam of our pants for the first couple of years, and when you get more time to kick back and
even that was an conversation, right? Like even our first two albums were an experiment for us to be like, you know, what can we do with it? And we're getting on playlists and stuff like that, which like, you know, you're talking like that's the kind of first PR you're doing for yourself, so it's important. But coming up, we have a single coming out in April called Hold On. So that one's a big one, and that's got a lot of relevancy now. Just in, you know, we filmed it up here on the property, right? Like I keep pointing outside because I'm looking at trees. You know what I'm saying? Like it's beautiful out there, right? But
all right, even me when I look on this other end, I have trees over there.
Nice.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, so every time I look on this side, that's where I'm looking at the trees, right? So we filmed it here, so we got that music video coming out shortly after the song release. And then we've got a couple more with Kilo P coming out this year, more than likely, and and really putting those. We've got the strategy for the singles, and then definitely a project, whether it be a full album, an EP, whatever, you know, suits what we're feeling the engagement is like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, the interesting thing is you really have to get people on board in person. Like you can have an online strategy, don't get me wrong, but to get out of it what we're looking for as human beings,
we need people there.
It's a human experience, right? So we have space, like we've actually been able to have people outdoors here. So for us, hosting outdoor shows and also offering our place as a venue where music can happen and we can encourage others to come and be part of it as well. This is where we're looking to bring the musician life hand in hand with helping host and promote local music and expression. And that's where hopefully we can get people doing outdoor shows here
in the trees.
And we have some beautiful ideas that go hand in hand with what we're doing here. And you know what, like if once we're able to do some more traveling over in Europe and stuff like that and do a proper launch and tour the album and stuff, which we'd be planning to do, is I think we're optimistic enough. We do a few singles lined up, get the EP out, and then we've got a full album that we're going to do. Maybe by that time we can do it on vinyl as well. And maybe by that time we can go over to Europe or go somewhere else in the world and spend some time getting to know new people and new languages and just bring in our energy and that's one thing where the guitar's always there, because getting that across the borders and in the planes without getting charged too much money, being a full band worth of instruments, it's a different ballgame altogether. But
exactly.
But it's it's all about the people, and even if you're getting 10 people together for a launch, that's awesome.
It's a win.
If you're getting 100, if you're getting 1,000, even better in a way. But there's something about the intimacy that just really allows you to be yourself, and that's an awesome thing. You just got to focus on what you can do. You can't change what others can do at the end of the day. And if you give good energy, you'll get good energy. People need that today.
The Justin Kelly experiment, guys, on the Xtreme BPM. So how can guys follow you up, guys, on socials and all that to keep up with the journey, and where they can stream the music and all that?
Yeah, we got Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music, as well as our website, justinkellyexperiment.com, where you can kind of get streamed into all those things and post more information about ourselves and about little stories coming up and live shows and that sort of thing, also, and Instagram. And
we've got our merch for sale on the website as well, so people can support through that.
Yeah, it's always a good way to support.
We've shipped all over the world. Like, we've shipped stuff to Brazil, I think, to Portugal. You know what I mean? So we're definitely getting out there for people, and at the Justin Kelly Experiment on everything you can find us.
All right, guys, the Justin Kelly Experiment, and we are playing the song that is a Traveler's Story. So, guys, thank you so much for being on the Xtreme BPM, and it's been a pleasure having you on, guys. I have enjoyed our conversation and hearing your experiment along with the experience.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks
so
much,
appreciate you, man.
Yes,
sending you our love from here, eh?
Thank you so much, guys. And guys, on the Xtreme BPM, that's about it for you. And until whatever time, I have nothing at the moment.